Hey everybody, I'm Nikia Hammonds-Blakely with iCHAMPION Publishing, and I'm excited. It's one of my favorite times and favorite things to do. It's time to launch a brand new author, and this one is gonna bless you. You've tuned in to iCHAMPION Publishing's new author spotlight. There you go. It's that time again to launch a brand new author. And this one certainly is so special. She means so much to me. Ladies and gentlemen, drum roll, please. Our new author is Danielle Frederick. Hey, Danny.
Hello, sis. How are you?
I am well. And not only are we celebrating the launch of your brand new book, Beautifully Broken, we're also celebrating your 40th birthday.
40.
Happy birthday, Danny.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh my. Okay, so I don't even know where to begin. Let's start at the birthday. First of all, can you believe 40? 40? Like really? You're 40 years old now?
I have crossed over to the 40 club.
Well, welcome. Welcome, sister. I've been there now for 4 years. Actually, 3 years. It's only 3. Feels like 4. But I love the 40s. I think anybody would tell you, honey, 40 is when you really start feeling yourself. You feel good and grown.
I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, yes, honey. You step into a new level of confidence and assertiveness and just knowing what it is and what it ain't. And you're fabulous at 40. You don't look a day over 25.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
But happy birthday, beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. So let's get right into it. We are celebrating the birth of a new baby. And I'm not talking about a biological baby, although you do have a new grandbaby. Congratulations on that. A beautiful baby girl. But you're celebrating the launch of your brand new baby. You want to tell everybody the title of the book and what it's all about.
So the title is Beautifully Broken. It is a 40-day devotional to just really reach those people that are struggling with mental illness, that's struggling with feeling beautiful on the outside, but it's broken on the inside. So I really, really believe that this is going to bless a whole lot of people.
It is. It is. And sis, I can't tell you. And I already have my tissue because I feel that I'm going to be emotional in this here conversation. But I can't tell you how proud I am of you. I'm always proud of new voices that emerge, new women who find the confidence to tell their story so that others can be blessed. But I'm particularly proud because I've gotten to walk just a few miles of the journey with you. And I know what it has looked like and how hard you have fought to get on the other side and just to live, live through this. And we're going to talk about it a little more, but I can't tell you, Danny, how proud I am of you taking what could have been a debilitating circumstance and situation and even illness and finding a way not only to continue living every day and striving and thriving, but to now use it to help somebody else. My God, that's what we all live for, sis, is to try to not only just endure our own pain, but use it to help somebody else. And you've done that. You're doing that, babe. Yeah. You're doing that through this book. When they get this in their hands and hear some of the words of your own story, but also reflect in a way that you've done through the devotional, and they can take their own journey. You're going to hear testimonies, and it's going to make it worth it all. And so we talk a little bit more briefly about Beautifully Broken. First of all, the title of Beautifully Broken. Why?
So the title Beautifully Broken came from one, thinking about my brother and how beautiful he was. Such a beautiful soul, but he was broken, and we didn't realize how broken he was. And he was very quiet. If he wasn't quiet, he was laughing. And I just thought about how he was struggling, but quietly struggling with his own battles, and lost his battle through the depression, or to the depression. And on top of that, the Miss America, who was Miss America 2019 recently, who took her life or lost her life to depression. And I was reading up on it, and I was hearing that no one knew that she was struggling with depression. Everybody thought she was okay. And I just looked at her picture, and I was like, she was so beautiful, but she was so broken. And no one knew that. And then just thinking about my own life, where all my life I've heard, you're so beautiful, but nobody knew how broken I was. And I walked around and I would dress myself. I love to dress and would smile when I was in public, but when I got home, I was crying myself to sleep, and nobody knew how broken I was. So that's where the title came from, Beautifully Broken. Oh, and not to mention CeCe Winans' song. So I guess I should kind of go back to, that was the first time I heard Beautifully Broken. In 2019. I was riding in a car, and I heard the song Beautifully Broken come on. And anybody that know me know I love CeCe Winans.
I do too.
And listening to that song and listening to the lyrics, you're beautifully broken, but you can be whole again. All the scars doesn't define who you are. And listening to that, I mean, I tried to download it. You can't. The only way you can listen to it is on YouTube, because it's not something that she recorded to where you can buy it. But I went to YouTube, and I would listen to that song over and over and allow it to minister to me. And that's when I started to kind of put the pieces together, like, wow, so many people that's struggling with depression, anxiety, PTSD, and mental illness in itself might feel beautiful on the outside, but broken on the inside. So that's where I got the title from.
Oh my goodness. If you are just joining us, I'm Nikia Hammonds-Blakely, and today's special guest is Danielle Frederick. She has released her brand new book, and it is on sale now. Beautifully Broken, a 40-day devotional. You can head over to Amazon and purchase it, or if you want to contact her directly, she's happy to do an autographed, personalized copy for you. So give us your names even now. Flood her inbox. Now you can follow her on social media. Look up Danielle Frederick, or Danny D, as she goes by on Facebook. But email her for more information, and that email is hotlady82. Now I'm pronouncing it hot, but it's not hot lady like fast lady. It's hot, and that means classy and dignified in French. So hotlady82@gmail.com. This is her advertisement. Please go and support Danielle. So Danny, if you will, again, the inspiration of this book was not just your own personal testimony, and we'll talk about that more in a minute, but you said your brother played a significant role, and nobody knew that he, was broken. Can you tell us how old he was? And I don't know that you actually shared that he is no longer with us, but I just want our viewers to hear his story.
So he was 31, going on 32, and like I said, he was very quiet. My brother didn't talk a lot, and I remember when I was going through my depression, where he came to my rescue, and it was a time where I didn't want to be alive. And I remember looking back on my cameras and seeing how he was literally trying to break into my house to get to me. And when he got to me, he said, "Danny, don't do that. You don't have to do that." But all along, he was struggling. He was struggling, and we didn't know. So to get the call that my brother was no longer here and that he took his life, I said, why? Why didn't I know? Why didn't he talk to me when he knew I was going through? So,
and Now, can't you, but you can testify to the fact that we know how to conceal what we're
Mhm.
going through. Did you ever get to the point that you accepted that it was not your fault and that you weren't to blame? And there are some things that we go through that we are perfectly able to conceal, where people never know how deeply we're struggling. Like, did you ever come to that place of acceptance, or is that something you still struggle with?
No, I've come to that place. I just know that when you are when you're going through depression, you're in a dark place.
Yeah.
You're in a very dark place, and sometimes it can be so dark where you don't see your way out of it. And the only one of the things you think is, if I can just leave here, I can't take it anymore. So I never blame myself for my brother's suicide. I never blame myself for that, but I really wish I could have been there like he was there for me.
Okay. Understood. So now you lived through that and have battled it, and sounds like depression has been an ongoing battle throughout your life. Do you remember at what point you recognized it in its onset? Like, when did you first start battling depression and know that that's what it was?
So honestly, for years, I never labeled it as depression. I never labeled the panic attacks or the anxiety. I never gave it a label because I never knew what it was. Um, I've been struggling with depression now that I know what it is since I was 19.
Wow.
Um, and that was my first attempt. A lot of people didn't know that was my first attempt, and that was even before I had children. That I didn't want to be here because I was tired of hurting. Back then, being a counselor wasn't big, especially being in a church. Being a therapist wasn't something that was talked about.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so I struggled, but I struggled silently. I struggled silently probably for 15, 16 years, just kind of covering it up or pretending I was okay. And when you pretend, when you're hurting and you pretend you're okay, you can't heal because you're
Yeah.
not confronting that thing. So going through my 20s and raising children on my own and making sure they're okay, then at night crying myself to sleep because I wasn't okay. Then getting up and getting them off to school and going to church just because that's all I knew to do,
Yeah.
but not being okay and not seeking that help. I really wish I could have confronted a lot of things years ago.
But to your point, you grew up in an environment where people didn't talk about it. And I'm much the same. And part of the reason why I Champion Publishing was interested in helping to tell your story is to put a spotlight on the fact that Black women, Christian women, need to have conversations about mental health and depression specifically.
Yeah.
Many of us feel, I know I can only speak for myself growing up. It was like, oh, the white people, they're the ones that jump off bridges and have be trying to
Yeah.
commit suicide. Black people don't,
We don't
we
have,
have to,
right.
we're taught to be strong and to,
Yeah.
just endure. And sis, I know personally, I think I shared this with you from the very, very beginning, that in high school when I battled breast cancer, the first part of that journey was silent. It was private because we didn't know how to handle it, what to do. And I learned very early on how to conceal trauma, both
Mhm.
physical and emotional, and how to get
Mhm.
dressed, get your hair together, go to church, and carry on as though life is normal when you're literally dying on the inside.
That's correct. Mhm.
And I've had a sensitivity my whole life for what it feels like to go through pain on a level that you don't have words for. And, you may not have those conversations around it, and you're not equipped with the tools for. But somehow, some way, through the grace of God, He carries us through it. And we then have the responsibility to help other people with it. And so I want to go there in just a minute. I want to tell them how they can get the book and all of that. But sis, as soon as we finish this quick little promo of the book, the new book, Beautifully Broken, I want you to talk to us about, what are some of the things that we can look out for to kind of let us know, sis, this isn't just typical sadness. You're depressed. You need to talk to somebody. Like, let's get into that. But for those of you that are just joining me, I'm Nikia Hammonds-Blakely with iCHAMPION Publishing, and this is a very special a book that we're excited to support and launch today. A brand new author, Danielle Frederick, and she has written a beautiful a devotional called Beautifully Broken. It is a 40-day devotional. It's available now on Amazon, but I want you to contact her if you want to hear her story personally, if you'd like for her to share with your women's group, maybe for a next Bible study or a coffee chat. If you want to just to share more of her story, I'm telling you, we're overcome by the blood of the Lamb, but also the words of our testimony. And she has quite a powerful testimony. So you can contact her at Haute, Haute lady 82 at Gmail, and let this brand new author bless your life. We're talking today to Danielle Frederick. So Danielle, if you will, talk to us about how you can kind of identify when it's time to get help, or that I'm not just having a sad day, but I am battling with depression.
So when I realized I was battling depression, it was in 2019, and it was kind of like I went through a bad relationship, and I kind of feel like I hit a brick wall to where I was tired of pretending. I was tired of faking like I was okay and then crying myself to sleep. I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to be around anybody. I wanted to just isolate myself because I didn't think anybody understood me. And one thing I did that I wouldn't suggest anybody do is I started kind of like exposing myself through social media. And I would post, I didn't want to be here. It was kind of like, you know what? I'm tired of hiding. I want the world to know I no longer want to be here.
It was a cry for help.
It was. And the thing with that is, it's like having a physical wound that needs to be covered, and you uncover it prematurely. You're causing more pain, and it slows down the healing process. So that's the same thing for an emotional wound. When you open yourself up to social media or to the wrong people, it can slow down that healing process, and it can potentially make things worse. So if I can say, put yourself in an atmosphere with people you trust. Confront those things that you might be feeling. Don't ignore them. If you're feeling like you want to isolate yourself, you're feeling like you're always being rejected, you're feeling like no one cares about you, no one loves you, those are all thoughts that the enemy is going to put in your head to make you feel like, what's the point of me even being here? Sure. And then he would use those people that are closest to you, so you think that would trigger you to really make you feel like, what's the point?
Yeah.
That's what he did to me. It's like, for the longest, I was living for my children. I was living to make sure my children were happy, but I wasn't making sure Danny was happy. And when I felt like I was failing my children, that's when I wanted to leave here. And it's important that you really take time to take care of you. care, because if you don't, you will never feel like you're progressing. And that's where I felt like I wasn't progressing. I felt like there was no life. There was nothing left. I felt like I was bleeding on everybody that came into my life that didn't cut me.
Mm.
And, and that's because I wasn't healing from my past hurts. I wasn't healing and forgiving those people who may have done me wrong. And God would send people in my life to help me, but I was bleeding on those people who did nothing to me. So I would say, go seek help. Like, go talk to a counselor, go and talk to a therapist, a psychiatrist. I talked to a psychiatrist this year for the first time, and I was always afraid to talk to a psychiatrist because, you know, they're the ones to prescribe medication. And I'm like, I'm not crazy. I
Yeah.
don't need,
Yeah.
I don't need you to tell me that I'm crazy and I need this drug to, you know, to make me uncrazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I always feared talking to a psychiatrist, and I kind of always was like, I don't want to talk to a therapist. I'd rather talk to somebody who I know and who I feel comfortable with. Well, that in itself is not a good thing.
It's not always enough, right?
No, it's not. It's not. It's not. I mean, it's good to have those people that you can talk to,
Yeah.
have that core group of people that you can talk to, but
Yeah.
it's also good to go to somebody who knows nothing about you.
That's so very true.
That
And
knows.
and you tell me if I'm wrong. Another analogy that I have for that is that, you know, there are times that you develop the sniffles, sneeze, a cough, and just a little bit of NyQuil or a little bit of Benadryl may do it. But when the symptoms persist, when they become more severe, there is a point that you need to go to the doctor because a
Yeah.
prescription may be needed. It may be time to up it up to an antibiotic. It may be
Mm-hmm.
time to, you're dehydrated, you need IV. There's interventions that
Mm-hmm.
just your regular over the counter won't cut it anymore. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's important, and it sounds like you discovered that sometimes you'll reach a place where sadness progresses, and it's not
Mm-hmm.
just a little talk with a friend makes it all right.
Yeah.
And even we sing the song, just a little talk with Jesus makes it right. We know that there are many times where that is the case. You just get on
Mm-hmm.
your knees and pray, and a good time of prayer, we come out of it feeling brand new. But then there
Mm-hmm.
are times when it progresses, where the
Yeah.
symptoms become more severe and it's no longer manageable on our own. Our
Mm-hmm.
family isn't equipped to deal with it, our co-workers
Yeah.
aren't equipped to deal with it. Maybe even some of our ministry leaders aren't equipped to do with it. And it's time equipped to deal with it. And it is time to seek medical or professional intervention. And it sounds like you have experience doing both, seeking not only therapy, but even psychiatry, the medical intervention side of it. And so, sis, were you, once you did seek those avenues, did any part of that, what did it help? Did you feel victory on the other side of that? Or did you feel like you gave in and you were somehow less of a Christian for seeking those avenues?
No, no, I never felt like I was less of a Christian. I would say talking to the therapist, it was good to have somebody who could kind of help me compartmentalize the things that I was going through and I was thinking and I was feeling. But talking to the psychiatrist was the best conversation I had all year. And what kind of stood out
Why is
with,
that, sis?
okay, so he was a very nice guy. He just kind of had me go through different things, and not in deep detail if I didn't want to go into deep detail about what I have been through in my life. And he told me that I struggle from PTSD, and he told me that, you know, I want you to take this medication because, and he began to explain the things that goes on in your brain and how it's a chemical imbalance. And this medication will kind of help balance those chemicals that you are experiencing that are off balance. He also said that, you know, I want you to eat seafood. I want you to eat um, tuna. He said he want me to eat salmon because it has that omega-3 in there, the fish oil in there that helps with those chemicals in your brain.
Mm.
He also told me wanted me to walk every day for 45 minutes. I still have yet to do that every day. but, because I explained to him that the medication that I was on was causing me to gain weight, and he was like, "Well, make sure you're eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, and a lot of seafood." But the thing that stood out to me the most is he said that no matter how much you walk, how many medications you take, and what you eat, until you change your thought process, you would never be completely healed. And to hear that from not a man, I mean, he could have been a man of God, but he wasn't a pastor talking to me. He was a psychiatrist that said, until you change your thought process, you would never be completely healed. It all starts
in
that. I was like,
but yet that does line up with the word, because the Bible tells us, as a man thinketh, so is he.
So is he. And to hear that from my psychiatrist, it just snapped for me. And it was like, wow, I've been hearing change your words. Change your words. Your words shape your world. And that's something that's in the book. And when he said that, it was like, man, I really got to work on my thought process.
Yeah.
And I really have to start speaking those things into existence. And I promise you, after that conversation, I started saying, I am healed.
Yes.
I can make it. I will make it.
Yeah. And tell me this, mental health, living with it, navigating it, is just almost like a prolonged illness of any type, whether it's cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure. Many times a one-day prescription or taking medicine or a pill one day won't do it. Many times it is a lifelong journey to figure out how to manage this and keep this under control. Do you find that keeping your mental health in peak condition is the same as, like those physical ailments, that it's going to take lifelong maintenance and navigation?
Yeah, I do. And I can honestly say that I did begin to see a difference in how I handle things, and those triggers that did come that before probably would have sent me in a whole spiral. I was able to, kind of grab hold to that and say, you know what? Nope, I'm okay. I'm going to make it through this. So I would just tell anybody that's struggling with mental illness, definitely go and see a psychiatrist. Go and see it. Go and talk to a therapist. It's okay. You're not crazy.
You're not crazy.
Chemical imbalance. And it's just like anybody who might be dealing with diabetes that have to go and get insulin. Anybody who's dealing with hypertension who has to take medication for that. It's no difference. You're not crazy. There's nothing wrong with you. You're perfectly fine. And you're going to be even better when you confront that.
Absolutely. Pretending or hiding it or concealing it. I heard a phrase that said, you can't heal what you don't reveal.
Which you don't reveal.
You can only heal what you choose not to conceal. And so that is so good. Sis, one of the many things that you reference in the book, there's one day of devotion that you titled The Peace of God. And you reference John, the 14th chapter and the 27th verse. And this verse says, peace I leave with you. My peace I give you. I do not give it to you as the world gives. So do not let your hearts be troubled and do not be afraid. And you took time to outline a couple different kinds of peace, that we can have external peace and internal peace. And you listed a few of the things that you have done, to help facilitate and usher in that peace. And you gave some good practical advice. And there are 8 listed here. I'll share 4 for our viewers, just to kind of whet your appetite, but you're going to have to go on and get your own book, and we'll tell you how to get it in a minute. Spending time alone, outside, enjoying nature, meditating continuously on God's word, being grateful for what you already have. I've heard that so many times, that an attitude of gratitude can help sometimes when depression and those thoughts of how terrible our life is begin to set in. And then number 4, taking responsibility for your actions. can help to facilitate peace in your life. Danielle Frederick is our special guest today, and we are celebrating the birth of a brand new book called Beautifully Broken. We're so proud of this 40-day devotional and this new author, Danielle Frederick, who is choosing to commemorate her 40th birthday by creating a project that will bless and heal others. And she does so beautifully in this book, Beautifully Broken. So, Danielle, in our last few minutes together, I want you to share for a few minutes and talk to those that might be viewing today that are finding themselves exactly where you were. They feel that they are losing grip, they are drowning, they are muzzling, they are suffering in what seems to be an abyss of depression, and maybe people don't even know. Maybe they've become masters at disguise. What do you want to tell them about how to pull their way out of this? And even and I also want you to share with those who they know that they too have something on the inside of them. They may be budding writers, but they are insecure. They're afraid of what God has placed on the inside of them and whether or not it's time to share it with the world. Please offer your advice.
So for those that are dealing with any type of mental health, any type of mental illness, I want you to know that it's okay. Don't suffer in silence. Reach out to someone that you trust. Definitely go and see a therapist. Go and see a psychiatrist. Don't feel like you can't make it, because you can and you will. I definitely want everyone to know that your scars don't define you. Your past doesn't define you. There's life on the other side of that dark place that you might be in, because I've been there. I've been in that dark place where I didn't see a light. I would hear people say, pray. I didn't know what to pray. I didn't know what to say. And I would just sit in a dark room and I would cry. I really want anybody that's struggling with that depression where you feel like ending your life is the best result. It's not. You can make it. You will make it. And I'm here for you. If you need to talk to someone, if you need help and you don't know where to start, send me a message. I'm here for you. And just a testimony and kind of a confirmation to my book. I was talking to an older lady yesterday. I met her for the first time, and she began to prophesy to me. And she said, something happened to you when you were this tall. You were young. And she said, but God is raising you up, and he has kept you here to help those people that are broken. The broken women are going to come to you. And I literally cried. This was just yesterday. She didn't know I wrote a book called Beautifully Broken. And I went to my car and I grabbed the book and I handed it to her. And I said, this is for you. And she began to weep. Confirmation that there are women, there are even men out there that are broken, that is going to need someone to talk to. And I am here for you. You can make it. Don't give up.
My God, Danny, I have told you a million and one times, but allow me to tell you again, my sister, I love you. I'm so very proud of you, and we're excited about this next chapter in your life. And so, with that, those of you that have been encouraged, I want you to send Danny a word of encouragement on a Facebook page. Look up Danny D. It's DANI DEE on Facebook, Danny D. But also reach out to her via email, hotlady82@gmail. Give her those words of encouragement. And if you'd like for her to share her story, one thing about her, she's open and willing to share what God has done through her life, what she experienced through her own loss, but how God has also spared her life and how she's working every day actively and proactively to become everything that God has equipped her to become. And so on behalf of iCHAMPION Publishing, Danny, we celebrate your 40th birthday, and we celebrate this new chapter that God is allowing you to write in your life. So with that, I want to close with a quick word of prayer. Is there anything, final words that you have before I close us out in prayer?
No, I think I'm good.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Thank you
You're
for sharing.
welcome. Thank you so much for having me. Now, I do want to say, can I give a plug to iCHAMPION Publishing?
Yeah. Oh, please.
This has been the best experience
Oh, honey.
ever.
Oh, Danny.
You have pushed me to do something I didn't think I could do, and we didn't get a chance to kind of share why I chose iCHAMPION, because you're just such a beautiful soul. And I thank you so much for even every submission I sent to you. You would send me back. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. And I didn't know, I was just writing as God gave it to me. And for anybody who wants to write a book, don't wait. Write that book. Come and see Nikia. It was just such a smooth transition from day one to the final, to the printing. It was just a smooth transition. So I thank you so much, Nikia. I thank you for your faithfulness. I thank you for your support. And I thank you so much for your love.
Honey, I thank you, and I love you too. When I tell you, you are a beautiful, beautiful soul. From the very day I first met you, I mean, you could just see how much you love people and love things, and the things. Danny got me to record my first TikTok video, child. Me and all of my friends, honey, we out there just in my backyard.
TikToking.
Listen, only you could put us up to that. But I love you so very much, and I'm so proud of you. I feel like a big sister
You are a big sister
in this process, and we're just so godly proud of not only what you've come through, but where you're going, and that's where I want to pray. So, Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you for this day and this opportunity. We thank you for the life of Danielle Frederick. You called her forth even from her mother's womb, and you saw everything that she would encounter from the day of her birth until this very hour. And you've destined it, you've appointed it for such a time as this. I'm asking, God, that you use her for your glory. God, let her take those battle scars and all those wounds. And as you continue to bring healing, manifest physical, emotional, mental, financial, spiritual healing in the body, I'm asking that you use her to heal others. In Jesus' name. She has opened herself up and made herself available to be used by you as clay in your hands. So God, shape her and form her and send her out into this earth to heal a hurting nation, a hurting world. Let her do a perfect work in your perfect hands. And we give you praise and glory in Jesus' name. Amen. I love you, sis.
I love you too.
Beautifully broken. It's out. It's on sale now.
It's on sale. I promise you, it will bless you.
Yes. All right. So y'all go on over to her page and wish her happy birthday. Happy 40th birthday to Danielle Frederick. We're gonna have to go out our own self. Can we? Yeah.
Yes.
All right. And thank you. We love you, Danny. I'm Nikia Hammonds-Blakely with iCHAMPION Publishing, and this has been another new author spotlight. God bless you. Go out and support Beautifully Broken. God bless you all.